I'm Sanan Kirsan. I'm the Vice President and Public Information Officer for Napa CART. In this video, I'll be telling you how to use our county-issued radios. These radios are owned by Napa County, and they're maintained by the technicians in the communications department for Napa County. We have one channel that we can speak on at times of activation, and that's the local government channel. Ideally, we'll have multiple forms of communication available to us during times of activation, but we can't be sure of that. These radios use the same infrastructure as first responders in the county. All of that equipment is maintained by county staff, and there are repeaters at various locations on the hilltops around the valley. So these radios tend to have better coverage than cell phones or other types of communication in the valley. To turn the radio on, turn the knob that's closest to the side, right here. You'll hear a click and you'll hear the radio beep once, letting you know that it's on. You'll also see the screen starting to display letters. In order to switch from one repeater site to another, you're going to twist the middle knob. All the repeater sites start with the letters LG, and then they state the name of the site. So right now, it says LGBTNK. That is the B-Tank repeater site. That's in the southwest part of the county out in Browns Valley. Now it's turned to the repeater site in St. Helena. It says LGSTH. Now it's turned to Atlas Peak, which is LGATLA. And now it's tuned to Sugarloaf. Sugarloaf is in the Skyline Park area, so kind of to the southeast part of the county. And that one is stated LGSUGA. Another capability that these radios have programmed in is the ability to listen to the scanner channels so that we can hear what first responders are doing. It's particularly important if we feel like we're in an area where there's action happening, we're able to hear what's going on. So in order to get to those channels, this knob also controls the scanner channels that we can listen to. So if you want to listen to scanner channels, turn to one of the sites that does not have the letters LG preceding the channel number. So right now it is on NCF, that's a fire channel. The next one is red, and the next one is primary. So you can listen to traffic, but you cannot interrupt by talking. We have receive-only capabilities on the scanner channels that are programmed into these radios. Whereas all of the repeater sites, we have the ability to talk, and we're on the local government channel. It's good to familiarize yourselves with what things sound like as calls are going across these channels, but also remember when you're in the field that if you're tuned to one of these channels, you're not going to be hearing traffic that's on the channel that we're using for communication. We only have receive capabilities. They're receive-only capabilities for the scanner channels, which means we can only listen, but we cannot break in with conversation. On the local government channel, that's the channel that we use to talk, and we have send and receive capabilities both. But make sure that you turn back to one of the repeaters, which begin with an LG, and make sure that you do a test on the side. Make sure that the tone comes back to you and the green light on the top showing that you're within range of that, that repeater, and that will make sure that you are receiving all traffic that we're sending. The radios can operate in two modes. One is a direct mode, which makes it similar to a walkie-talkie. So if you're working in an area where you have line of sight to your other team members who you need to speak with, for instance, maybe in a shelter site. So maybe in the large animal shelter, there might be someone located in the front and someone in an area with just where the animals are away a little ways. And if you have line of sight, you can operate in direct mode. On the side of the radio, you have talk buttons, and also the button that switches it between direct mode, which makes it into similar to a walkie-talkie or not. So if you have line of sight and want to use the direct mode, you press the button that has this little nub on the top of it. So you press that, and then on the screen you will see a little picture of a radio. So if you're working in an area where you can see your teammates, or there is a direct line of sight between your radio and their radio, you can use that mode. Now, it's important to take it back off of that mode in order to talk on the channel that uses the repeater site. So again, you just press that button one more time and you see the little radio icon go off of your screen. In order to talk, you're going to use the larger button on the side. In order to talk, make sure that you're tuned to a repeater. So make sure you're on one of the 4 that has an LG on the screen and then states where the site is. And you want to test first before you begin talking. Make sure that you're connected to one that works in your area by pressing the talk button once and letting go. And you're waiting to hear a sound and see a green light flash back at you, and that will tell you that you are connected. Now, if you're in an area that can't connect to that repeater site, you will see this happen. You're going to press the talk button once, let go, and you're just only going to see the red light on the top illuminate. So right now I have it tuned to St. Helena, but I'm in the southwest part of Napa. It's unlikely that's going to work, so I'm going to test it. All right, all I got was the red light. So I'm going to look for another site. All right, I'm going to try Atlas Peak. That was good. I got the green light on the top and the static sound back. It's really important to test and make sure that you're you're connected to a repeater that works in the area where you are. So the way to do this is to turn it to a certain repeater. So right now I'm in kind of the south area of Napa, so I think probably B-Tank is a good choice, but I don't know. So what I'm going to do is press once on the talk button. That's this large button on the side, and I'm going to listen, and it'll give me a little sound back if that's a good repeater for this area. Ah, I was wrong. Okay, that's why we check. So if it can't connect to that repeater, it'll give a little red light on the top, and then I'll move on. So B-Tank was not the right one. This is really good to remember because I thought that probably as the crow flies, that's the closest one to me, but I'm in an area with some hills. So that's important to keep in mind. Apparently, I don't have a good line of sight to that one. So I'll try Sugarloaf. That one can be a good choice in the south part of the valley. All right, so I have it turned to Sugarloaf. I'm gonna press once. All right, that was a good sign. So it made a little tone back to me saying that it could connect, and it gave me a green light on the top of the radio. I'll just check the others just for information's sake and see how they're doing. Okay, St. Helena from here. Ah, red light, so not a match. I got the red light on the top here and no tone back. So that's not a repeater that can work with where I am. I'll check Atlas Peak as well. Atlas Peak sounds like a good match. I got the green light and the tone back, so that's good information. It goes red to green, but you're really listening for the tone to come back at you. It's really important that you do a radio check before you go out to your site for the day. Make sure that you know how to operate it, make sure that you're comfortable using it. We've been asked to use plain language, which means we're not using a lot of codes the way that first responders use. We're volunteers, we don't know all those codes. We want to use plain language so there's no confusion about what we're doing. County has asked that we call ourselves NCART for simplicity when using the radios. We'll have teams named, usually using letters, so we might have Field Team A, Field Team B, Field Team C on a given day. We'll have other positions. I'm the public information officer, so I would be the PIO for the day. So if I'm going to call someone, the standard way of doing that is, a way to remember it is, hey you, it's me. So if I want to call, for instance, to Field Team A, I would say, well, first I'll press the button on the side and I'll say, NCART Field Team A, NCART PIO. And then I wait. There's a little bit of a lag time with these radios, so it's important to kind of get a feel for that when we have drills or when we have practice time. It's not like just talking over the phone. There is a little bit of a lag, so just wait and then hopefully they'll answer. If not, call again. But again, we need to really make sure that our communication is concise, using plain language, and not conveying sensitive information. Next, we'll be talking about battery life and battery maintenance. It's important to keep your radio charged. With that said, don't overcharge it. It's really important not to leave your radio connected to the charger all the time. It will diminish the battery life significantly. And these tend to charge very, very quickly. So if you're noticing that your battery is not getting up a good charge very easily, it might be time to think about swapping it out, and we can talk with you about that if you notice it. Another thing is these batteries can stay charged for a very long time as long as they're off. For instance, I check mine every few weeks. The county told us that these tend to stay charged for about 3 weeks in the off position. My battery so far is staying charged much longer than that, but I do check it regularly. In order to put it in the charger, these chargers are a little bit deceptive in that the cradle looks like it's a really big space and the radio is kind of small, but you'll hear it click into place. So you'll hear it click, and then a light will come on the front. Red light means that it's charging or that it's not fully charged. Green light means that it's full. As soon as you see it go to green, take it off. Just take it out of the charger. We also have spare battery packs that use disposable batteries. So you can replace with these if you're out in the field and you don't have time to plug it into an electrical outlet to charge fully. Now, really important that you do not leave AA batteries inside these chargers because they'll drain really, really fast. These don't last a long time even when you're using your radio, but they really don't last long at all if you leave the batteries in it. So what I do is in my Go Kit, I just keep a bag of batteries and the spare battery pack in a bag, but not put together. I'm going to show you now how to get the battery off the back of your radio. There's an outside clip that you're going to flip up, and then you're going to press the clip underneath it, and then it slides right out. That's the same way that you'll put the spare battery pack on if you're using the one that uses disposable batteries. I'll show you how to replace the regular battery with the spare battery pack. So I'm going to flip up the outside clip, press on the underneath clip, pull this off, and then just like other electronics that take batteries, the spare packs show you which direction to put the AA batteries. Make sure everything locks in place. And then it has a little picture on the back that shows where your clip is on your radio, so you can kind of figure out which way to orient this when you're putting it back in. And then just click it into place and make sure that you press down the outside clip on the bottom to lock it into place. And then you just turn it on and check it, and there it is. If you plan on using a headset with your radio, make sure that it's plugged in properly on the side. There's only one way that it works. Make sure it clicks in all the way. Then attach the earpiece to your ear and clip the microphone onto your clothing. Now, keeping in mind that this is now where you're talking into, not the radio itself. So you can clip your radio then to your clothing, your belt loop, something like that, and then you're talking here. But make sure that this is in a place where it's not going to be rubbing up against clothing or even your hand while you're talking, because it can be very, very distracting and hard to hear. So do a little mic check, do a little radio check before you go out to your assigned location to make sure that you're comfortable using the headset, because it's a little different than using the radio by itself. These radios have a lot of additional buttons that we do not need to use. So on the side of the radio, the orange button, no concern of ours. The black button all the way to the bottom, no concern of ours. The only buttons that we're using are the large button that has a texture to it, that's the talk button, or this small black button here that has a little nub on the top, and that's the one that changes the radio to walkie-talkie mode and back out. The white buttons across the front of the radio, also nothing that we need to use. The only things that we need to use, again, are the two buttons on the middle on the side and the two knobs at the top. The on and off button that also controls volume, and then the middle knob here that changes between repeaters and then the receive only scanner channels. It's good to remember that all of your conversations on these radios are potentially public. These radios are used by the Board of Supervisors, mayors, and other county officials. So we need to make sure that our conversations are limited to very brief communication about what we're doing in the field, but we also need to use very good discretion about the content of those calls, particularly if there's anything of sensitive nature that we're seeing. This presentation is only in the operation of the county-issued Kenwood TK 2170 radios. I hope that it was helpful. If you have any questions about how to use them, certainly ask someone on the leadership team of Napa Card, and we're happy to help you.